Hello, I'm Damien, and I just want to give you a little introduction, let you get to know me, and tell you a little bit of my experience with cosplay, my philosophy of costuming, just how to get started, that sort of thing. And hopefully, in a little bit, I'll show you how to make one of these. I got started in 2008. Um, you may have seen me as Hellboy at Supernova. This is recorded in 2017, so almost 10 years of costuming now. But I've only actually done about sort of 4 or 5 major costumes. Um, a few smaller low-key ones in between. Uh, I was, as a kid really, I was very interested in costuming and makeup for movies, sort of aliens and things, latex stuff stuck to their heads. Good fun. I wanted to do that. And when I started high school, I got sick and I just never got better. And so that was a bummer. But part of that's also somewhat why I don't make as many costumes as I otherwise would. Some people do 2 or 3 costumes a year for different conventions. They go both days in a different costume each time. They go to sort of 4, 5, 6 conventions a year. I just go to the main 2 usually, and civilian dress one day, costume another day. I'll edit this so it's less rambly, hopefully. Uh, but yeah, so I had wanted to do costuming and makeup, and then I got sick, and part of that is don't have a lot of energy, and another big part of it is that I cannot be around strong smells, chemicals, things of that nature. So sticking latex to your face, probably not a good idea. It also makes it very hard to do something like an apprenticeship where, part of the job is, being there 16 hours and running for coffee and things. I just can't do that. So anyway, I sort of put that to one side. And then when I started uni, finished high school as distance ed, and I got into uni, and Supernova started in Perth. And I thought it's right on the dot. After I finished first semester, good sort of little celebration, blow off steam, and plus if you've been housebound for 10 years or so, or however long it took me from, it was about 10 years. When you have been housebound and sick and you start to get out more and do things, all you've had a chance to do really is read books and watch television. So a convention is a sort of natural way to sort of expand your horizons because it's what you've been doing anyway. It's what you've been interested in. And I was very fortunate that I got a uni at ECU Mount Lawley. So when I started thinking back to my interest in costuming and makeup and sort of thinking, at that point I was about 22, I thought, if I want to make a go of this, I sort of have to either start making an effort towards it or give it up. And I thought, well, I'm going to give it a go. And I was a big fan of the Hellboy movie, and I bought this as a sort of expensive birthday present for myself. It's a wearable Hellboy arm. I believe it's. I'll put up where I got it. Can't, but I believe it's actually from it's case hardened foam, so it's like a boogie board. And I believe it may actually be from the molds that they use to make the hands for the stunt guys, so they could, bang around, not hurt anyone, not damage it too much, although it is a little fragile in the fingers. Anyway, I had that, and I just thought, that's the hardest bit to do. I'll sort of go and get a coat, and it's, I'll put up a picture, but my first costume was essentially jeans and a t-shirt and a coat, the hand, and just, paint yourself around, stick some horns on, and I didn't have a beard at that stage, but I made some little wigs out of mohair, just sew it to a bit of tracing paper, essentially, baking paper, and just glue it on. And as I say, I was fortunate to be at ECU Mount Lawley because I could just sort of walk across the road to Whopper and ask around until I found someone that knew the answers to the questions I had about, how do I paint myself around, how do I stick things on my face, and it was all relatively straightforward. And I went to Supernova in, carrying my big hand, and it was an amazing experience. People were literally lined up to have their photo taken with me, and girls coming up to me wanting a hug, which never happened before. And then I entered myself into a competition, cosplay competition, as I say, first time doing any of it, and that was less satisfactory. Not because not the competition itself, but people were very critical just because they were sort of in the know. And people were thinking, oh, you should have grown your own beard, or, nice hand, can you move the fingers? No, I'll think about that for next time. I thought, well, I was having fun before I did this. And there's a lot of waiting around backstage, and so that I sort of, that was my first experience with a cosplay competition. I just thought, well, I was having more fun just wandering around, and so I thought, well, next time I'll just do that. Although I have to say, I've just revisited my Hellboy costume, and I've made my own hand, which I'll just, bit of comparison. This one does have articulated fingers, and looks better. And as you can see, I've grown my own beard, which I'm in the process of growing out, so it looks a bit scruffy. cowboy doesn't have a mustache, or these bits here, so it's a little uneven. But um, yeah, so I sort of took that on board, but also did it in my own time, sort of 8, 9 years later. Um, but that was my first costume, and that's sort of I sort of had a mixed experience with the cosplay community. So I've just sort of swum alongside, done my own stuff in my own time, and just had fun because that's the main thing. But I've also had good experiences with the cosplay community, you know, and sort of bits here and there. There's always little negative things that you think, oh, well, all right, that's the way it is. You know, I wouldn't do it that way. So, but as much as I don't cosplay very much, or costume, there's distinct terms, but you know, as much as I don't do it very much, I also love helping people. I'm studying, I'm doing a Bachelor of Creative Industries in Game Design and Culture with a minor in animation. So conceptual design of costumes and things. Um, I do design things sort of as I am professionally trained, so to speak, or academically trained. But one of the things I really enjoy is helping other people with costuming ideas and problem solving. If somebody says, "Well, I'd like to be able to do this," I think, well, you could do it this way, and you know, and then they take my advice, leave my advice. It's just throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks. I love helping people with costume designs. I don't get to do it as much as I'd like. And the thing is, I saw all these great things about the costume community and these little niggly little things that, you know, could be better. I thought, let's put all of the good things together and just, you know, have a community where people all help each other. And a lot of people that have been doing this, you know, as long as I have, but as I say, make 4 or 5 costumes a year, a lot of them do one sort of costume. So you have people that do foam armor, can't sew necessarily, or, you know, people that work in foam and animatronics and puppets like this, you know, might not be able to do other things. So it's good to be able to pool our knowledge and learn from each other. I mean, the one problem we've had since we started the group, someone came on and he'd sort of been added to the group without, it was just saying, well, why am I here? What's this group about? Which really should go through the front door and see the big sign that says, this is what we're about. But, you know, I've been added to groups, it happens. And he was just saying, well, oh, you're in charge, are you? I said, well, it was my idea. I'm just sort of, I don't think of myself as in charge so much as I'm trying to, you know, first among equals. Because, you know, I don't costume that much. I like it. I, you know, take a couple of years to plan and produce something really impressive. Like this guy. And I sort of do it over the, you know, at my own pace. And I haven't been massively engaged with the cosplay community. And I just said, well, I'm sort of, you know, I started this, but that doesn't mean I'm, you know, I'm saying I'm the best at everything. And that's the other thing I want help people to understand is that you shouldn't have to be intimidated by costuming. You shouldn't look at, this or this and think, well, that's impressive. I could never do that, because it's, this, I can't even believe this worked. This is just, I threw it together as a sort of, first attempt, but using, 10 years of experience, and I couldn't have done it 10 years ago. And it's just little bits of, watching YouTube things, looking at, and just sort of thinking it all gets absorbed somewhere, and you start to find your own voice. So don't be intimidated by someone's finished product and say, these, you wear them once and you think, well, now I know what I've done wrong. This is the cosplayer's mindset, is that you're constantly trying to improve your product. So I don't want people to be intimidated by what someone can do and think, well, I can't, if I start to do something that sort of aspires to be that, I won't like the finished product, therefore I shouldn't start.